Good evening, everybody. This is Joe Larson, along with Chuck Schultz. You're watching the 505 on Racing Show tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about some news coming out of the new London Waterford Speedbowl. It's really an update. We have news out of Chicagoland. We have some news out of the NASCAR offices of what's going on. And we also have some chat about what's going on in the touring series when we come back.
Inravio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. New London Waterford Speedbowl, located on the shores of the southern shores of Connecticut, is having some problems. It's no news that they didn't open on time, and they're hoping to open up at the end of this month, end of July, when their scheduled opening was May 11th. There was things that had to be changed, safety issues, flag stands, concrete, all kinds of things, and they just ran out of time, I guess. The biggest problem is the owner, Bruce Beamer, as we all know, was arrested for sex trafficking and child porn and a bunch of other odds and ends that they tack on.
Not good stuff.
Not good stuff, which cost the track its NASCAR sanctioning. They violated a rule in the sanctioning. A track owner or operator cannot do anything that's detrimental to NASCAR. So NASCAR did not want to be involved with somebody who was under those types of charges. And everybody's, I guess, innocent until proven guilty. And he was proven guilty. Bruce Beamer, a Connecticut businessman and New London Waterford Speed owner, was recently sentenced to 10 years in prison for his role in a Danbury, Connecticut sex trafficking ring. Beamer, who is 65, was also given 5 years probation and must register as a sex offender. He was looking at 60 years in prison if found guilty of all counts. Now, a guy who's 65, he'd be eligible to get out at 125.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so he was going to die in prison. But they didn't know how the criminal justice system works. There's a lot of deals, a lot of, I feel bad what I did. And so he only got to 10 years. When you say only got, 10 years is a long time. He'll probably be able to get out in 6 or 7 if he's good. But he's still going to have 5 years probation. So he's going to be 75 years old when he gets out, and then still have to do the probation. So
yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, NASCAR pulled the sanctioning, and that's big. That's big because that's basically your insurance as a track owner. Being covered by NASCAR. That track now will have to, at the end of the month or whenever they do open up, have to secure insurance for its...
But even though he's the owner, they got somebody running it.
Yes.
Right? So, I mean, the idea is that they still want to try to open?
Well,
at least that's the thought, right?
You still got to pay the taxes on there. You still have to pay property, insurance.
Everything's got to come up to date, yeah.
But everything... That facility needed upgrading or improving. When you think of these things, here's my take on that. The guy did something pretty terrible.
Yep.
Now here's the town, the county, the state, whoever is behind these upgrades. That's their way of saying, listen, you need to go, which would be a shame.
They're making it tough, is what they're doing.
Exactly. They're not going to make it easy.
They're making it tough, not making it easy, no.
That facility's been around forever. And to my knowledge, it's never caused any troubles to the community, never caused any problems anywhere. It's a nice racing facility. They put on a good show there. I know the previous promoter, Terry Ames, had his difficulties there as well because he was trying to do the right thing financially for the competitors. You get caught up in some things, and you know what? He moved on. The new guy comes in and takes over, and
yeah.
They were selling parts of the parking lot to pay taxes at one point. I'd been there twice a year for a lot of years, and then all of a sudden I go there, and what happened to the parking lot? And there was a building on it. Oh, they had to sell that to cover the tax bill.
That's owned by somebody else now.
Yeah, so it's a tough deal. And again, you know, I don't disagree with NASCAR's decision to pull the sanctioning. However, what bothers me about that is you have competitors who have cars built, who had engines redone. They have sponsors now that are probably looking for the money back that's already been spent. I mean, imagine you get a $10, $15, even $20,000 sponsor, and the guy writes you that big check, and he comes to see you, and there's a chain on the fence to let you in. You just look like you scammed somebody. So it has a residual effect.
It sure does. And I would think that, these guys are probably searching for a different place to go and race.
Right.
I mean, because really, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. And I hate to say it's a good thing it's in Connecticut, because anytime you lose a track, it's not a good thing.
No.
But Seekonk is right down the road in Massachusetts, right off of Route 6. You have Stafford Motor Speedway up Route 91 there, off of 84, and then you have the Thompson International Motorsports Park over there off of 395. So they have places to go, and if they want to hop across the pond, they can come to Long Island too.
I think those tracks might make exceptions to get them in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
you would hope they did. You would hope they would.
But on a NASCAR side, I would say that it's probably the smartest thing for NASCAR to pull out of that. I mean, you can't be associated with that.
No,
there's no way.
Cannot.
I mean, there's no way you can do that. Unfortunately, there's just no way.
No, and it's tough. It really is tough, and to see another track suffer this. That track's had so many problems for so many years, and you finally had a promoter, owner, operator with some money behind him, a businessman, who could make it happen and bring it all on. But when you have these incidences or these issues where the powers to be are making you change all these things before you can open, and you have an owner-operator who's brought up in charges and found guilty of what he did or allegedly did, because sometimes you got to take. Listen, you're looking at 60 years if we go to trial and you're guilty, so we'll give you 10, maybe you'll be out in 7. And that stuff happens. But it's a shame. London Waterford Speedbowl has a lot of history there. It would be like if, God forbid, something like this happened at Riverhead Raceway. Those guys have nowhere to go, and racing be done on the great history of racing on Long Island would be gone. So it's tough. And
that is tough. And again, like you said, it's the small guys who will have these cars that where are they going to go, what are they going to do? But
right, that's the problem. There's a couple of people that I know that race up there. In the past, they had, with the old or previous regime, had trouble getting paid on a Saturday night because not enough was taken in at the back gate or the front gate, and they were given credits. Come on, work with me here. Okay, you won, you got XYZ dollars, and of course this to get into pits next week, we're even. I'll just bring you in, and what that does, in my opinion, is just snowballs. You rob them from Peter to pay Paul, and eventually Peter's going to say, "Yo, I want my money," and that's what was happening up there. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad.
That is kind of sad. That's for sure.
You don't want to see that happen to any race facility anywhere, let alone one that's in close proximity here.
And they've done a lot of work up there, too.
A lot of work.
And it might not be 100%, but they did a lot of work, so that's for sure.
I mean, we ran there fine for years and years and years and years. And, I'm sure if you dug deep enough or looked hard enough, every racetrack needs something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you could do. It's just one of those things. And it's a sad state of affairs that when the competitors that race at a racetrack, some of them for years and years and years, have nowhere to go, and they have a race car sitting in the shop but nowhere to play with it.
Yeah.
Because the rules aren't written that they're universal. A lot of tracks make their rules so if you don't want to race with us, you're not racing. And that's the old way, because when you had 80, 90 cars for a division coming in, you could get away with that.
Yeah.
Now, they're having trouble filling the pits a lot of places, and they're having trouble getting cars.
Well, it's that whole thing. I mean, it doesn't help that you start wiping out divisions.
Right.
But at the same token, it's not a cheap sport.
And it's not by any means.
You know.
Not by any means. And when you look at that, it's like, wow, what do we do? What do we do?
What
here?
do you do? And you got to give them every opportunity to try to make it happen.
Right.
Because it's not an easy sport.
It's not. It's really not, and you know, it's sad. And
It is sad.
It's upsetting, you know, to me, because you know, being a racer.
Well, we don't want to lose any racetrack. I mean, even Englishtown, when it closed, I mean, how many people are upset about that? I mean, that's been around for as long as I could possibly remember.
Forever. I can remember the commercials on the radio with that giggle in the background. Raceway Park, you know.
Right, of course.
I can't do the giggle
How do you
anymore.
not, doesn't that feel like summer when you hear that commercial?
Yeah, you knew.
That's crazy, right?
It was like Palisades Amusement Park.
Right.
Swings all day and after dark.
Right? I mean, it was one of those things.
That's when you knew it was summer.
You just remember.
You know, but, you know, hopefully it all works out, but it's not looking good. We're into July, and maybe the end of July. Everywhere
That was a
else
pretty
it's
nice
bad.
track, though. I raced up there a couple times.
Yeah, it is a nice track.
It was funny because I was up there and I raced, and then probably it was a couple of years we were not up there.
Okay.
And we hadn't gone up, and we went back, and believe it or not, they remembered me.
Did they really?
And I was like, you're kidding me. The competitors.
Wow.
I'm online, and they're like, hey, I remember you. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he starts spouting off stuff that happened last time I was there.
See, they know. They
And,
know.
they know. It's quite the world, boy. I tell you, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. That was pretty cool.
It's kind of sad, but you know, it was an easy track to get to, whether you drove around or took the ferry from Long Island, when you came up
Take
from
the
the
ferry.
north.
Yep.
You know, you know, out of New Hampshire or Massachusetts, it was such a nice place, such a nice place.
Yeah.
But again, they're hurting, and nobody has the money to come up with that kind of cash to bail the present owners out of their situation and deal with the town and the county and all of those people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's not easy.
It's not, and people think it is. People think it is. People think, oh yeah, I'm running a racetrack. Well, just a matter of putting the key in the gate and going. There's more to it than that. There's more to it
Yeah.
than that.
There's a lot more to it than that. And, you know, it's a labor of love. So,
You know, it is. You know, even at the top level, you know, who's making money in racing? I don't know. I don't know anybody really is. I really don't. But
well, I did get my 75-cent check from Speedway Motorsport. 75-cent check, but I got a $25, you know,
yeah,
book on what's going on with the corporation. But I got my 75-cent check.
you got all right.
You know, my dividend check, right?
There you go.
That's what you need. That's what you got to have.
You never know what can happen. There could be a split. The dividends could be, you know, great.
Split, so I get what?
Yeah,
Another
it's
15 cents?
another 15 cents.
Unbelievable.
Well, you know, and a lot of people knock NASCAR, and I was one of those guys for a while. You know, from being on the inside and seeing stuff that, you know, not that there was irregularities going on, but just at the end of the day, NASCAR is a business entity. They want to make money, and
Yeah.
they want to have tracks with a good reputation. Because if it was so easy to become a NASCAR sanctioned racetrack, every track would be NASCAR sanctioned. And,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, you know, from firsthand experience, a lot of people say, oh, what does NASCAR do for you? Well, when that day that my foot was sitting in my lap, I didn't have to worry about one penny of medical expenses, not one.
Well, that is a good thing.
And I remember, I mean, yet for those who don't know, when you get injured, you know, you got to file a report right away with the ambulance people in the racetrack. You got to call the racetrack on, you know, Monday, and you got to call NASCAR and report it. They'll send you the paperwork. If you fill it out correctly, send it back. You're covered. Yes, they want you to use your private insurance first. Whatever's not covered, then they cover. And I'll tell you what, and nobody believes me, but I was sent a bill for $20,000, a little over $20,000 for incidentals. My insurance company said, we need an itemized list before we could pay anything. Well, what's incidentals? Is it the TV? Is it because you ordered desserts or had room service or whatever?
Right.
And then the hospital said, no, we don't do that anymore. It's too costly. So I sent the bill and that letter to NASCAR, the Competitor Liaison Bureau, and within a week, a $20,000 check was sent to the hospital to cover that bill. They paid for my babysitter, for when my wife had to drive me to physical therapy, which I went to every day for 3 years. They paid physical therapy, they paid co-pays, they paid everything. They paid mileage to and from all these visits.
Well, that is your NASCAR license right there.
So when they say to me, your NASCAR license just went up another $40, okay. Because I'll tell you what, without that NASCAR thing, if I would have got hurt at an unsanctioned racetrack, I probably would have had to file bankruptcy and would have still been paying a lot of it off.
Right, and you would have had to fight to try to get something out of it.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, NASCAR's a good thing, folks. You gotta play the game a little bit and see where it goes from there. So anyway, we gotta take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Chicagoland and how they played in the rain for a couple hours when we come back.
Hey, what's I was going to say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Chicagoland.
Quite the week, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Friday and Saturday went well. Sunday wasn't too nice. It was like an enduro almost.
They
time-wise.
quickly got a couple of laps in because they wanted to make sure they got the race started
Yeah,
before the weather came. They knew it was coming.
they knew it was coming because they have to,
Get the radar, yeah.
I remember back in my day, we would look at the
Back
the
in
radar.
your day, you'd go outside.
Yeah, well, you know, I have that in front of the house. I
Put
have
the
that,
finger up in
the weather
the air.
rock. If it's wet, it's raining. If it's dry, it's sunny.
Yeah, the weather
If there's
rock.
white, icy stuff on it, snowed. And if it's not there, get out of Dodge, you know?
That's why you got to have friends around the racetrack so they can call you and tell you the weather's coming.
Yeah, it's like at Daytona, it's raining in turn 3, but it's sunny in turn 1.
Exactly.
The place has its own zip code, it's so big. Oh,
You
yes.
sit there and watch the rain lines, perfectly dry on one side and it's wet on the other.
Yeah, you know, people don't believe me when I tell them that stuff. They just don't believe me. They just don't. But whatever. But yeah, Chicagoland. Let's start with the Cup Series, the Monster Energy NASCAR
Okay,
Cup Series.
let's
Let's
do
start
it.
with them first, because I know sometimes I mess up the control room people. Sometimes. You know?
Monster.
Yeah. I'm getting that look.
Well, first time winner, right?
Oh, yes. Monster Energy, the winner, Alex Bowman. Wow, first victory for him in the top series. Followed by Kyle Larson. Joey Logano was third. Jimmy Johnson, fourth. Brad Keselowski, fifth. Ryan Blaney was sixth. Eric Jones, seventh. William Byron was eighth. Martin Truex Jr., ninth. And Austin Dillon was 10th. Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson, they went lap to lap back and forth, first and second, for many laps before Bowman pulled away for the win, and this being Alex Bowman's first win.
And we're seeing a lot of new names and a lot of new faces up there in the top 10. Unbelievable, right?
And this was a good win for Rick Hendrick Hendrick Motorsports. And a lot of drivers have won for Rick Hendrick. Just to name some of the top ones, Jeff Gordon has 93 wins with Hendrick. Jimmy Johnson has 83. Then it drops way down. Texas Terry Labonte with 12. Dale Jr., Darrell Waltrip, and Tim Richmond with 9 each. I was surprised that Tim Richmond won all those races.
He was really good, man.
Yeah. And Tim Richmond came on around the time of that movie Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise, when Hendrick supplied some of the cars for the movie, which helped Tim Richmond. And Bobby Hamilton as well, who drove.
Who drove in the movie.
Who drove in the movie. So it was very interesting and very happy for.
But Tim Richmond was the, you know.
Oh, he was the wild boy.
If he made it to the drivers' meeting, it was good, but he only had a bottle of Jack Daniels in one hand and a girl in the other.
Or two girls, one
Or
on
two
each side,
girls, and
they're
they were holding a Jack Daniels. Correct.
Oh, let 'em rest in peace.
Somebody had to hold the Jack. I mean, you know, we're getting there.
He knew how to have fun.
Oh, he did. He was definitely the fun guy.
And I remember they had the picture of the All-Star poster, and had the drivers that were in the All-Star race all posing, and of course the short guys knelt down in the front, and the tall guys, such as like Tim Richmond, stood in the back, and Tim decided to expose a part of his anatomy over somebody's shoulder for the picture, and thousands of those posters went out before they realized what it was, and
What
then
it
they
was.
had to airbrush it
Do
out.
you have one?
No.
Probably worth the weight in gold, right?
Oh man, but he was that funny. You know? If you think that's funny, some people might not think it's funny that he did that. But I'm gonna reserve judgment on that one, because we're a family show for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you want to see what I'm talking about, just look it up, because I don't make this stuff up. But yeah,
I'm Googling it now.
Google he's yeah, we'll have to put one of those like blurry spots over Tim Richmond's waist.
The little
area.
smiley face. Burp.
Yeah. Whoops. Anyway, the Xfinity Series was also a Chicagoland, because they got done on time. They didn't have let's drop the green, do a couple laps, and wait 3.5 hours. So the Xfinity Series was there. That was a good race. We got Cole Custer was the winner, followed by Joey Logano. Michael Annett was third. Brandon Jones fourth. Austin Cindric was fifth. Noah Gragson was sixth. Justin Haley seventh. Ross Chastain. Somebody told me I was saying his name wrong all this time. It's Chastain. Tyler Reddick was ninth, and Riley Earps rounded out the top 10. The car driven by Christopher Bell was DQ'd after his number 20 Toyota failed post-race tech inspection. Bell who was originally crossed the line in third, ran strong all day long. And however, at post-race inspection, he was deemed to be too low. Bell will get last place points and loses any stage points he had earned in the race. And as said by NASCAR director, Xfinity Series managing director, I should say, Wayne Orton, there's a pre-race height and then there's a post-race height.
So they allow you a little bit of leeway.
A little bit of leeway, so when you go up on the ramps onto the inspection floor, table, whatever they want to call it, and I used this in a few races when I worked for NASCAR, it's a go or no-go. If it doesn't go, you're too low. And there's no, like in the modified series, they can lift up on Nerf bars or bumpers. No, it's a one-shot deal. You roll it in, and if you hear, it's no good. If you hear nothing, it's good.
And then it's good.
And there's no discussion. It's no discussion at all. So, unfortunately, he was DQ'd. And my thing with DQs, they always use the driver's name. They always say, oh, car 20 driven by, Christopher Bell, so-and-so, whatever, was DQ'd. The driver, in most cases, probably doesn't even realize what's wrong. They should just leave it at car so-and-so was DQ'd, in my opinion. There's no need to make the driver look like he
Well, the
cheated.
driver is typically the guy who's supposed to be in charge of that.
Yeah.
But then they get the crew chief too, right?
Right, and that's...
I mean, because ultimately that's the bottom line. But you know what? A lot of these cars are going with that whole,
it's
no
just-
suspension deal with the soft springs, so they just lay down on the track so that they can get the car lower.
Yeah. You watch some of the races from the old days, and they're headed to victory lane, and 23 people are standing or sitting on the car. That's to get the springs, because it takes a while, as you know, after you just put 2,000 pounds of people
on the car to get it back up.
for it to settle up.
Well, because the shocks, so that's why they lift up on the Nerf bars, don't they?
It takes a while for them to settle down.
To settle down.
Yes, yes.
That's why one of the things you have to do in victory lane is go over to the car and pull up on the Nerf bars as much as you can.
Stand by, just kind of lift it up.
Right.
And as they say, get off the car. You just lift it up as you're getting off.
Yeah.
I knew what to watch for.
You stick your foot under the car and give it a twist, and it just kind of lifts up.
Yes, definitely. So
The tricks of the trade, right?
yeah, I know a few of them.
Go ahead. Tell us some of your tricks in the chat room there.
Yeah, no.
That's what we got to see.
Jay
right?
Slice knows some of my tricks. He was my crew chief for a couple of years. More than a couple of years. He was my crew chief. There were things that I did that he couldn't believe that I did. And I always played this game, I didn't know anything. And I used to say, I don't know nothing. In fact, I know more about nothing than most people. And so I remember he came to my shop one day and he goes, such and such is bent. We should change that. No, we shouldn't. Yeah, we should. It must have got bent during the race, because that's something they would check post-race. I really can't say what the parts were, but things like that. Well, this one I could say, because it was on social media by another driver, you could camber your rear end. Or caster it too, just heat it in a certain spot and give it a tap.
Give it a little tweak.
Got bent in the race. Are they going to prove that it didn't?
Well, there's a lot of things they'd have to check, and at a short track, then they don't have time to check.
Exactly.
They pick and choose. Unless they get intel from somebody.
Yeah, then it's all
pull your rear end out of the car. I want to see the
Yeah.
mini spool. I mean, that'll be
It reminds me of my clutch deal. I've been told this story a long time. When it's mid-season, it's 1994, 95.
It was a cold, dark night.
Cold, dark. It was actually as hot as the Dickens. And you pull into the track and handed a rules addendum. So I just threw it on the seat. I'm figuring it's next week or 2 weeks, whatever. So my guy helper says, I want to read that addendum. What do you mean? Because the V8s was so fast coming off the corners against the 6 cylinders when the 6s and the 8s were together, that they changed the rule that the V8s couldn't have the little clutch. They'd have the stock clutch, press plate flywheel with nuts and bolts.
Had to weigh 13 pounds, right?
32 pounds.
Or 32 pounds.
Or you had to add 200 pounds to your car till you did it. So we added the 200 for that night, and I had a 25-pound weight right in front of the foot box on the chassis rail. So I read the rule a couple times. Now, some people know and some people don't know. I did go to law school, so I had to know, I had to read things. And nothing in that rule addendum did it say the clutch had to be functional. So I took the weight off and we bolted the 32-pound clutch where the weight was, which the header ran right past it. So now, because I was coming off the corners a lot faster, not that it helped me because I finished 11th, they sent me to tech post-race. So I played stupid. Oh, I'm in the top 3? Oh, that's great. No, just go to tech. We'll tell you what you need when you get there. I get there, they want my clutch. Now I got to go through the motions, not me, because I pretend that I didn't know how to do that. So my guy goes through the motions that he's taking the right clutch off, but he's not. I mean, he disconnected the drive shaft and all that good stuff. A lot of nut and bolts, a lot of wrenches hitting things that had no reason to hit. And he took the stock one off, and he's holding it with the rags. You know, as you know, it's hot because the headers were there.
Because it was there.
Gives it to them. Now for giggles, they got to weigh it. So it weighed like 33 pounds. I'm good. And then the header fish says, I could have sworn you still had the little clutch. We push it onto the trailer and go home. They never asked me again.
That was great.
You know, I think that's why they made me a tech inspector when I went to the big guys.
But you know what? There were so many gray areas in those rules, even, and the more pages they put in them, I think there are more gray areas.
Yeah, like the late Bobby Lane told me, if there's 24 lines, I see 48. And he was right.
That's it. There's always something between it.
That's just how it went. It's just how it went. But anyway, the Gander Outdoor Truck Series, which I almost forgot, was also raced at Chicagoland. And Brett Moffitt was the winner there, followed by Brandon Jones. Stuart Friesen, Stewie as we know him, finished third. Harrison Burton fourth. Austin Hill fifth. Todd Gilliland sixth. Ross Chastain seventh. Matt Crafton eighth. Anthony Alfredo ninth. And Dylan Lupton is a new name in the top 10 there. Rounded out the top 10 at the Gander Outdoor Series. That was a series that was meant for up-and-comers. And guys are down-and-comers, or down-and-goers, I guess you can call them. And you don't see a lot of Cup guys other than Kyle Busch running that series.
Yeah. And he had a heavy weekend this week.
He did.
I mean, he didn't have a lot of luck going on.
No, he didn't. And I hate to say this, but he was overdue for that because luck has been on his side.
On his side for quite a while, but he had, I mean, what a race he had, just unbelievable.
Yeah, he had a...
He clips the wall, he loses the right front, fire in the car, the brakes are on fire, he's going in so hard, he's slamming on the brakes.
Yeah.
He just had a hard day.
He did, and he doesn't handle that stuff very well.
No, he does not.
He doesn't handle that stuff very well.
And one of the problems when he gets that going is it snowballs and it just gets worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
There's no pulling out of that tailspin for him.
No, there isn't. But there were...
Checkers or wreckers, they say.
Yeah, for me it was mostly wreckers.
Yeah.
There was one year that I was...
You were this close?
I wasn't even that close. I never, one season, drove my race car off the racetrack. Not one time.
Really?
Oh, yeah. By like week 5, the wrecker guy didn't even ask me where I was parked.
He knew where you were.
He knew. He just took me right to my spot. He got the jack stands out. He tried to weasel it so that we could suck it onto my trailer. Yeah, that was a bad season. It was not a good season at all. Then again,
Sometimes slow is faster, right?
Yeah, you're right. I even went on fire that year.
Did you?
Yeah, that was kind of ugly. A valve cover gasket blew off, and oil and a hot motor.
They don't like each other.
They don't like each other.
Yeah.
And so, your instinct is, let me shut it off, throw it in neutral, coast to a safe place, because if it blows up, just take out me, nobody else. Because I didn't want to go up to the wall, I don't want to hurt fans. So I do that, and I go to throw it in neutral, and my shifter boot, which is supposed to be, SFI, is not there anymore.
It melted.
Melted, gone. And I go to throw it in neutral, and the shift's hot. I have gloves. I always wore gloves. And all of a sudden, my right leg is hot. So I get out of the car, and there's no flame, and it's just it's like doing that smolder. Like you're in the fire department, you know when you're walking or you're crawling on the floor with a hose and you see the heat rippling? That's what I saw.
Inside the car?
On my leg.
On your leg?
Yeah.
The heat was coming off your leg.
Oh my God. I mean, my fire suit did its job.
Good thing you had the fire suit on.
Yeah. I mean, I had like probably a first-degree burn, but...
Had a little bit of a ring going on.
Yeah, it was not bad. It was the good old days. The real good old days. But anyway, Formula One ran, the Australian Grand Prix, and I'm still trying to figure out how they logistically do this. But it just seems like in that series, it's the same drivers in the top three, at least in 5 every week. Max Verstappen was the winner, again, go figure. Charles Leclerc was second. Valtteri Bottas was third. Sebastian Vettel fourth, and Lewis Hamilton rounding out the top 5 there in the Formula One Grand Prix.
And for some reason I can't understand, but the lines that they take on those tracks.
Oh yeah.
Is why are they doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, it's...
There's like no apex going on there.
No, and a pass was made that they held up the finish because there was contact when you made the pass. So you're not allowed to touch at all, even if it's boop, oh, it's like a horse race.
That's it, you're done.
Hey, they touch, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, open wheels, they go airborne pretty quick.
It's not good, open wheel racing. When you have that problem, you have those things. Anyway, we got to take a break, I guess. And we come back, we're going to talk about some NASCAR news and what's going on with NASCAR and the touring series when we come back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, it is one of our loyal supporters out there, and I believe he's been a Gold Wrench winner like 5 times, you voted by your peers on that. Ray Bouchard. He's having some health issues, so I know Ray is on. So I just wanted to say, keep it going. Ray just said in the chat he's doing okay. He'll find out more Friday after seeing his surgeon. So, Ray, we wish you well. Our prayers are with you. And if there's anything we could do, we'll do it, because that's racers stick together.
Absolutely, that's what we do.
Absolutely. News, NASCAR. NASCAR President Steve Phelps anticipates changes to the 2021 Cup schedule because NASCAR's 5-year sanction agreements with the tracks end after 2020. So that means people and tracks that have had certain dates since forever. This guy is going to.
Now, is that the locals or the bigs?
That's the top series. That's the Cup series.
So every one of them ends on the same time?
Yeah, because they signed them all at the same time.
That's not a good idea.
No, it's not.
That's not a good
Well,
idea.
5 years ago, there was a different person at the helm. So Steve Phelps is a businessman. And I'm sure he's going to make some of those changes too. However, when asked if the schedule would see the same number of races and race tracks, he said probably not. Interesting.
Yeah, what are they going to do with that?
So if there's a probably not, it's more likely that it's going to be a big change. I know one of the things that one of the owners of the big racetracks, who is not part of International Speedway Corp, had said that they're looking at doing doubleheader weekends, make it easier on the teams, cut down on the travel for the teams. I don't know if that's something that's going to work, but you know what? What they're doing now, I don't think is working, in my opinion. You can always go back. You can always go backwards. But they got to do something.
If you got all the tracks that are signing at the same time,
well, that's one of the things they got to change.
They get together, forget about it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's all over but the tears.
You know what I could see happening is International Speedway Corp and NASCAR, it's no secret they're one.
Right.
The same board of directors, the same people.
Different corporation, big deal.
Exactly. They meet in the same boardroom.
Yeah.
I could see them going to Speedway Motorsports, SMI, and going to Bruton Sprint and saying, go do your own thing. I could see that happening. What better way to, take your competitor out of the picture is why let him play in your backyard? And what that's going to cause is it's going to be like in the old days. There's a race in this track and there's a race in that track. Which one do we want to go to as a team owner?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's back in the Grand National days.
It was, and guys like the Silver Fox when he was running, he picked the races that were paying the most money.
Why not?
Because the points were based on what the race paid. So he could finish in the top 5 in points and only run like half the races because he only ran the big money races. So I see that
Yeah,
coming
but the
on.
point, unless they're going to give another track double races, where are they going to go? Who are they going to take a race away from? They might move a weekend around or something, but for the most part, they got to use those tracks that are there.
Yeah. I mean, can you see them not going to Charlotte?
No. Can I see them not going to any of the tracks they're going to? Absolutely not.
Right.
I mean, they cut out some of the small tracks already.
Yeah.
I mean,
And those
so
are the
who
ones they
gonna-
need back, I think.
They really do. The small tracks are the ones I think that really make it exciting.
North Wilkesboro.
I
think
know,
that had
right?
some of the best racing that you could ever have.
Could you imagine a season without a Bristol or Martinsville?
No.
Can't imagine that.
Nope.
Even once you get to the mile tracks, it's monster mile. It's it's still a get behind me and follow me fest.
Yeah. I know, I don't know Steve Phelps, but I do know he's a businessman, and the product that they're putting out right now is not very good. He's got to make some changes. He's got to do something that makes these events fan-friendly and also competitor-friendly. When you look at the current schedule, it looks like it's from back in the day when the teams loaded up the station wagon and one up the East Coast from Daytona up to the north through Long Island, because they ran in Long Island. A lot of people don't believe that.
Right.
Then they headed to Michigan, out all the way out to Phoenix and California, back down through the southern part of the United States, back to Daytona again. And they made that schedule because they didn't go back and forth.
Right. Well, they made it like they would for a band. It's a tour.
Yes.
You're going here, you're going there.
It's a good way to put it.
It's a tour.
Yeah. You know, what are they saving? The hauler driver, he goes from, this track on the East Coast all the way out to Phoenix, then back to their shop in
Well,
North
that's
Carolina.
because then they had the option. They can go back and get new cars and clean up and all that. And
Absolutely.
you don't have to worry about,
No, so
Because
I'll be
it's
interested to
now
see.
excelled. It's a different level now.
Right.
It's not to the point where you're using the same car.
They're not.
Everything is built specifically for a track.
That
It's not
track.
like before, when they had, what was that, six-pack with Kenny Rogers?
Yeah.
And he's driving around with the car in the open trailer and an old motorhome, and he would
Yeah.
go from track to track.
And his little crew.
And he had his crew, right, the kids. You know what I mean? Those days are over, brother.
Way over.
That's not happening.
And he took his race winnings and bought that big fancy house on the lake.
Yeah.
You know, that's not happening.
Well, that's not, well.
No, that's
It-
no. But,
And to top it all off, they still call it the modified tour.
Yeah.
Go figure,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Right? So, I mean, they got some roots going there.
yeah.
Still happening.
Yeah. What are you going to do? So we had some, we got away from Chicagoland, but there was some stuff that happened in Chicagoland that, some not so good things as we were looking at during our commercial break, as you were saying.
Yep. Well, I mean, Bubba Wallace with the wrench left in the pit stop. I personally think the pits were terrible on just everybody. I mean, it was like everything was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the Chase Elliott with the hose under the tire. When does this stuff happen? You got Harvick into the wall early. You have Kyle Busch into the wall early.
Yeah.
Clint Boyer loses a tire and slides through the grass. What was going on with the tires there?
They was talking to Bubba Wallace in the rain delay because they were teasing about the football that he drew in the last rain delay and how his arm was so sore like 2 or 3 days later. And we say, no footballs today because, we're going to race tonight. We're going to race. And he said his concern was the tires had some heat in them, then they went through the water, and they're going to be like rocks when the green flag comes out. And I'm thinking that's what happened because we all know about heat cycles. They don't like to go from hot to cold back to hot again. They're not. You need some time, and sometimes they don't make that right call in the tower to get some laps in. You got to get the heat back slowly. You can't just go back racing, and then they get too hot, and the beads break off the rim, and that's how tires come apart. And they weren't using the inner tire there because they only use those at super speedways.
Right.
So it's like a regular. I don't want to say a street tire, but it's a tire with no inner tire in it.
Yeah.
Not even a tube. So
No run flat.
yeah, and when they go and you're going 180 miles an hour.
You going into the wall?
Yeah, and if it's a right front, it's turning that way.
That's the way you want to go.
And the worst thing to do is hit
Well,
the
it's
brake.
not the way you want to go.
Yeah, the worst thing to do is hit the brake, or else you're just going to, then off, the other 3 tires that have air in them are just going to slide. So some old guy told me that if you're going for the wall, don't hit the brake. You're just going to go there faster. And I never listened.
Who does? It happens so quick. It's like bam, bam.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
I
pretty
did
much
learn
so.
how to put my hands inside the belt, though, when I did it.
Oh, you don't keep your fingers inside the wheel?
I learned how to do that real quick after you hit the wall, 3-4 weeks in a row, and your hands hurt and your arms hurt because that's the only thing that's strapped in. So I would just go in the boat. Yeah. A lot of experience like that. A lot of experience. Anyway. Yep. What else we got there?
Well, that's one thing you learn from racing. Either how to avoid accidents or when you get into them.
Yeah. That's how I got real good at body work. Jay Slice will tell you.
By beating out all the stuff that you had?
I crashed so often, I just knew how to do body work real quick. And I even made spare panels. It was just easy to get the saws out, cut the old one off.
Did you change them in the pits?
No,
for
we
the
never
next
did
race?
that. Because, as long as you had 4 tires and they had air in them, you can go back out. You can you get that duct tape. And I had duct tape that matched the color of my car. Why I did, I don't know. It didn't make a difference.
Well, I did because I had a duct tape sponsor. How great
did?
is that? Oh, yeah, I
Did
did.
that place in Farmingdale?
No, it
Was
was,
it Farmingdale?
no, actually Noisia.
Oh, okay.
tape. They used to give me cases and cases of tape. I was like, all right.
Yeah. That was the only. I didn't have a duct tape sponsor.
Every time I saw the guy, you need more tape? Sure.
Yeah,
I
why
had
not?
2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch. What do you need?
We needed. Wow. Yeah.
So I had tons. I still think I still have some of that duct tape.
Yeah. You probably do. Anyway.
Product placement was not a problem.
No.
Cash was always a problem.
Yeah.
But I got some pretty good sponsors on the cash side
There you
too.
go.
I mean, I had a Baldwin filter sponsorship. I still have cases of Baldwin filters.
you really?
I do. Thank God I still have that same truck.
Yeah.
I keep swapping them out.
I had a bunch of K&N filters before it was like the K&N Pro Series E's. I don't even know how I hooked that up, but right place, right time.
That's it, whatever it takes.
Yeah. And the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour will be here on Long Island this Saturday.
Nice.
At Riverhead Raceway. And the different thing about the tour coming to Riverhead is Riverhead's feature division is tour type modifieds. So what does that mean? The locals are going to try to qualify.
Right, sure.
And there's the last time I checked, there was 31 entries for 24 starting spots. So 7 guys are going to go home, or I should say 7 drivers are going to go home because there's some girls. But the locals that are confirmed is Roger Turbis. He'll be running his first modified tour race. Tom Rogers Jr., who's always a threat to win at Riverhead. Frank Vigliarolo Jr. is going to step in and drive for Dave Sapienza, who's still recovering from the injuries that he had a few weeks back. And Mike Rutkowski. So there's some local guys who, now I don't know Mike, but I do know Vigliarolo, Rogers, and Turbish. And those guys, if they make the show, they have a shot at winning. And when I say if they make the show, don't get me wrong, and people listening, what do you mean if they make the show? At Riverhead, the difference of pole and home is about 2.5 tenths. So hiccup could put you home at that place. And I can remember, with the provisional thing, years back that Jamie Tomeno, who had at that point, 600 consecutive starts in a row, was eligible for provisional as a past champion. However, Wayne Anderson was there, and nothing to knock Wayne Anderson. He followed the rules. He was the most recent past championship, but even though he didn't compete in the series. He had a NASCAR Touring driver's license. He had a NASCAR Touring owner's license. He got the provisional, bumped out Jamie Tomeno.
Wow.
The following week, the rule was rewritten that you had to be an active driver.
An active driver,
just in time to be too late for Jamie Tomeno.
Wow.
So it's funny how, certain rules are written after the fact.
Yeah.
When something is...
Well, when you find something that's not 100%,
right,
then they fix it, right?
Exactly.
It's like when they find that line between the lines, and they fix it.
And I'm a firm believer in you go to a racetrack, whether it's Riverhead, Stafford, Thompson, New Hampshire, wherever, that qualifying is going to mean something because you're going to send some cars home. And too bad, so sad for the drivers who do end up going home because they bought the tires, they bought the fuel, they traveled to Long
Spend the
Island,
effort,
they spent the money. And,
Well, except for the locals that are, on Long Island, but still either way, they have a right to try to qualify.
and
Why
then-
not, right?
and
That's the way the rules read.
Yeah.
But, great for Riverhead that they got 31 guys that are coming out
Yes.
for 24
Yes.
spots.
Yeah, and then Kyle Elwood, he's, I'm sure he's going to probably hop into the Wade Cole backup car. He did very well in that last year. I didn't see his name on the entry list. That doesn't mean he's not going to be there, but I think it's going to be a matter of if Wade brings that second car down, which a lot of people look at and go, wow, it's kind of beat up. But Kyle Elwood showed last year that don't judge a book by its cover, because he was motoring that thing. He was running in the top 5 most of the day in that 200 lapper. So
I know it's a tour event, but wouldn't it make sense almost to have an A and a B main?
I'll tell you.
At that point?
Yeah.
Because, you got that many guys that are coming out.
Yeah, definitely. I went to a lot of dirt track races over the last couple of years, and you see 50 cars show up for 30 spots, and then they'd have that, the B main, a C main, and take the winner of this one, take the winner of that one, and they keep putting guys in. What racing what racing? Because you're racing for a spot. You're racing for a paying spot. Everybody gets points, but you're racing for a spot where you're looking in the mailbox for 2 weeks for that check.
Yeah.
And I know Riverhead Raceway used to be one of the highest paying races per mile as it was advertised, and it's still an okay paying race, but when you can't compare Riverhead to a Stafford or a Thompson, where those places are holding 8,000 people.
Yeah.
And have a bunch of other support divisions that bring another 200 cars.
Bunch of people in, yeah.
And I remember one day sitting on the ferry and having a chat with Eddie Partridge, about that, with the sanctioning cost for that race, and how you have a rain out, you could lose your shirt for the rest of your season, that the cost to put on a touring race at some of the smaller tracks like Monadnock even, you have to have X number of cars, and you have to have X number of people in the pits, and you hope your grandstands are full, because if they're not, you could take a loss.
You take a beating.
You take a beating. And
I wonder if you did an A and a B main with I don't even think you could really do it in the Tour of Modifieds, but if you did an A and a B main, and let's say the whole day was nothing but modified racing, would that bore the hell out of people? Would they want to see a truck? Would they want to see a legend, something different?
I would
just
think,
to keep those people in the stands happy, probably.
I
right?
know I went to.
I think the races wouldn't mind, but
I went to New London Waterford Speedbowl, and they had what they call it, open wheel madness, and it was any type of open wheel car, and they ran those things all night long. They had tour type modifieds. They had they call SK modifieds.
Sprint cars.
They had super modifieds. Sprint cars, and it was a fun day.
Was it?
And night. It really was. But it's, even though it was only maybe 4 or 5 years ago, racing has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. Dramatically.
It has. Does Riverhead do anything to bring out other divisions? Like open wheel madness from other tracks.
They have,
like an open,
I know they did
call or something.
The late model series, and forgive me, I forget what it's actually called, but I know they tried to have the Granite State stocks, the late models. 1 year it was like rained out, and it was one of those.
You're talking like the IMCA ones that are open wheel.
They look like
models,
they look like the Riverhead late models, but they're a little more, I'm going to say, beefier. They look at they run at New Hampshire too. Even I've seen them.
like the pro stocks.
Yeah. So it's
So they're not
tough.
like a late model, not like a Connecticut late model. It's really like a stock car.
Right. What
It's more
NASCAR should
like a
do,
pro
in
stock.
my opinion, is have the rules. A late model is a late model. A tour type model is a tour type mod. An SK type mod is an SK type. So you could go everywhere without making major changes. And I know in Connecticut, with the SKs, Stafford is the only track where you could legally call it an SK. So everywhere else, because Jack Arute, he copyrighted that name. So at the Waterford Speedbowl, Seekonk, and at the Thompson Motorsports Park, they were called, at Thompson they were called Sunoco modifieds, but everywhere else they were called SK type modifieds. And sometimes you had to change an intake, sometimes you had to change this. And some drivers don't want to be bothered with that, when you're only getting 300 to win and you got to
just
spend
go
300 in
and
gaskets.
run what you got. Yeah.
Yeah, you run what you got. So.
Well, it's the same thing with Thompson. We go to Thompson, you have to change out the clutch to be competitive.
Right.
You change out the clutch. You got to do the rear gears anyway,
Yeah.
but you change out the clutch because the rules are a little bit different on the pro stock divisions.
Yep.
So you change some of that stuff out to be able to run some of the Connecticut tracks, just because there the Charger cars were just a little bit off in the pro stocks.
Exactly. Anyway, we're getting signals from the control room that it's almost time to wrap up. So this weekend I will be at the Daytona International Speedway for the Coca-Cola 400.
Good.
And I will also be driving a Richard Petty car in the morning at the Richard Petty Experience, which ought to be interesting. It's probably, I hope this isn't the year that I get towed off every.
We'll have the camera crew down there with you to scoop you up.
Absolutely. I the video package was ordered. So hopefully, hopefully it's all lefts. But yeah.
Yeah, don't make any rights.
No rights.
This is not UPS.
No,
right?
it's not. You know, you're going to make
All
rights
lefts.
at UPS. You got to start in the middle and just keep going to right, which that's a whole other thing. But
No lefts in UPS. They didn't
So,
want any NASCAR drivers.
so with me being Daytona, we won't be here next week, but we'll have some good footage hopefully and some good stuff to talk about the
Absolutely.
week after. So, folks, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to sit and talk racing with us. And any feedback you want to give us, you know, we're available for it. And if there's any track operators that want to come and sit and talk to us about the challenges facing short track racing today, feel free to give us a shout.
Reach out.
Reach out. We'll pick a
Absolutely.
night. If we have to go to you, we'll go to you. So anyway,
And whatever you're doing this weekend, be safe. It's going to be a big weekend. So
big weekend.
I think a lot of people are going to be off Friday, so it's going to be a long weekend. So be careful
Absolutely.
out there. If you're traveling, if you're racing,
All right. Make sure
S&S, slow and steady wins the
slow and
race.
steady wins a race. You got to be in it at the end to win it.
That's it.
Be safe, everybody. Wish you all well. Give somebody a hug. Tell them you love them. See you in 2 weeks. Good night, everybody.